Hello, this is Dave, and welcome to Equity Story. I'm with obviously the great Wolfie. And how you doing, Wolf? And just as per this disclaimer here, it says this is just general share advice and not a personal advice. And how you doing, Wolf?
I'm happy and I'm sad at the same time today, Dave.
All right. Let's go to the stock that you're happy about, which is 360.
Oh, I wanted to get the bad one out of the way first. Get the tears out first. Luckily, it was just a trade, small trade. So it's not a big disaster by any means, because we bought it fairly closer to the trend lines, which is not bad. But the result wasn't as good as expected. That is the problem there, and that's what sometimes you get when you trade with the think that should deliver a decent result, because the previous update was okay, and the markets obviously was looking for a decent result with a decent chart, right? But wasn't to be. So pretty much what actually happened there in that result, Dave, was it was fairly flat all around. So I think the EPS side of things disappointed. I had a look at the broker expectations, and it's definitely disappointed on that. Plus, when you look at the outlook, flat. So there's pretty much no growth for 2024. So the market's going, well, is there point sitting in a company like Seek for the next 12 months? Probably not. It might be, it might be have a good moment here or there, but generally speaking, probably sideways at best here.
Yeah, we did say that though. I mean, Seek is funny. It can just do that, can't it? It can promise the world and disappoint, Yep.
And the other problem with it is it's trading on 44 times PE. So it's not as if it's a value story. You can get into it and you think to yourself, yeah, that looks good. There are some positive points in that report, like Asia and so on, but just general look through, there is this lack of growth in there right now, where, I suppose when you look at the economies globally, it's not brilliant. Hence maybe they're just struggling a touch. So yeah, pass for me. If you're in this as a trade, you just got to probably look at it at the end of the week if you want, or you just get out now. It doesn't probably matter at the end of the day. I don't think it's going to go back up and go, you're going to make some money on this.
All right, let's have a look at the bad ones. Let's have a look at Temple and Webster. They've had a run of late, Wolfie. Just most probably run a little bit too hard, really. Just having a look here, they said FY23 revenue was 396 million, with the business back to growth since Q4 FY23. Positive momentum continued. EBITDA of 14.8 million with an EBITDA margin of 3.7, in line with the 3 to 5% target range. I suppose 105 million in cash. I suppose they need a lot of cash, though, don't they?
Yeah, I think where they fail, and maybe why the market's sort of looking at negatively. First of all, it was at the bottom end of the range for the EBITDA margin, and the margins are still bloody thin, right, at the end of the day. So when you look at it, it's still unprofitable from that point of view. So it's a online business that should be probably doing much better than it is. Online businesses should be making money, surely, right? Especially when you just sell products.
All right. So, yeah, listen. At the end of the day, obviously they got good customer retention, which is good for them. But the chart
it's just disappointed. I think I think the market was expecting much more, maybe better margins, a little bit better bottom line. It didn't quite deliver. It's still a decent story, right? But the look at the run up it had, Dave. So there's a little bit of disappointment going, okay, we'll take our profits and just move on to something else for the moment.
Yeah, I get it. Now 360, let's talk about the one that's going to make you happy now.
Come on, let's talk about the happy stuff. Well, anyway, I didn't have any TPW, so I'm okay. I don't care. But do we have 360? Yes, we do. And we've got a lot of it too. So we're pretty happy with this one. So this is the winner that we've easily eclipsed the losses of Seek. No problems there. And you know what, Dave? I think it's going higher. I like this story a lot because there's a lot to like about this. First of all, they've had a little upgrade as well to the EBITDA for 2024, which is nice. So I think just shows that they are strengthening their bottom line. It's still growing at about 50% clip rate. And really the one single slide that got me and started to make me think I should just I should just focus, right? I should just focus on numbers alone. Don't worry about the names, because at the end of the day, you could be clouded and you can have a very skewed view of certain things, right? You know, me and Google don't get on very well name-wise, but obviously a decent company, right, that does quite well. But again, look at 360 as in daily average users, right, which is up to, I think, June 2023, data AI. So it's a big company that does all these data analytics. Top 16 globally of daily average users. I mean, are you kidding me? Right? Globally, the 16th ranked app. You know, you've got big, this is the pantheon of apps out there with Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Google, you name it. Amazon's on there, right? So they come in at number 16. And you think to yourself, who are these guys? I didn't know. I mean, it is pretty impressive, you've got to say. So they have got something there. So from a point of view of just then you go, okay, look at the numbers. And they are strong still, 50%, pretty strong growth, going positive EBITDA, looking to, you know, positive cash flows, being profitable maybe in the next couple of years. Hey, you got to be looking at it and go, I want a piece of that just to see how it goes. Because if it's something that's flying under the radar, I mean, it looks like it is been flying under the radar, right? You want to see.
I'll tell you what's interesting, Wolf. It's like, okay, how can they've got such traction, such numerous members using this, is how they're going to grow the business now. And often these sort of SaaS models, how they scale up. Did they give any indication of other sort of ventures they're looking at, or other ways they're looking to scale up with their database?
Well, look, there's probably 2 or maybe 3 things that have been working for them very, very well. So it's like a network effect, right? So they've got the hardware and the software business. The hardware business is not doing fantastically well, but it is maybe on the improve. They're talking about it in the presentation, right? That they're going to start looking at a bit of growth revenue-wise. So they're trying to combine various points of how they can build this ecosystem into their app. And that's really the key, I suppose, for this working so well. That ecosystem that they are building out there. And it's almost like a word of mouth. Things are working together in unison and cross-selling opportunities. So, and plus, you know, you can see from how they've done so well is increase the prices and they haven't lost much. You know, you think to yourself, in this day and age, you're going to raise your price, you're going to lose your customers, but they haven't. That's the incredible thing about it. So they do have something about that ecosystem that people really like. And it is controversial because, you know, there's a lot of haters of this, but there's also a lot of love for this. So, and I'm sort of, like I said, I was on the hate stuff because I don't like the privacy breaches of, you know, someone following you or whatever without your knowledge, or maybe, you know, reluctantly using it. But I can see the merit because I can see it from another point of view, which I'm actually using myself. So from that, it is quite interesting. So you can see here the outlook is quite interesting, right? Where they've actually upgrading the operating cash flows and EBITDA, and looking at the revenues. This is, remember, this is, I think, US dollars. So this is $500 million business now, Dave, revenue wise.
Very, very good. All right, and well, so let's give some advice on this. At the moment, it's having a move. You know, if you look at the candle,
everyone still got it, right? Because we talked about it before as a accumulate, buy, as a trade. I think we got it as a trade back in where it was 703, Dave, when he first broke out on that blue line. Yeah, somewhere there. So I think people are still in this, hopefully, and you'd be holding still. That's if you're a holder, you're still holding. I don't think I'd be selling this at all. I think this has got more legs into it. If you haven't bought it, I'd be buying this, right? But the question is, when do I buy this, Dave? And then maybe from a fundamental point of view, if I've got a long-term view, I'd be buying this now, right? Because I can think this is a $10, $12 stock. But if I haven't got this and I've got a short-term focus, I'll leave this to you as a trade where you think you got in. And you know, I just give you the easy job, short-term, whether you buy.
It's yeah. Listen, Wolf, I think your answer is you start nibbling away, really. I mean, okay. You know, you look at the charts and, you know, you feel that it might do something like this, right? Where, you know, I reckon around this $9, you know, if you get below a 9, you'd be doing well. I think around this sort of area would be my sort of nibble. And, you know, what it'll most probably do is this, like it'll have a move. I think that momentum could continue. It might actually just touch just 970, and then you might just see it come back down, swing back down to that 9 before it gets the energy to go up. Something like that is the way I would think it would move. I mean, yeah. Do I think it'll? If I look on the charts, I think. Do I think it'll go back to 8? I'd be surprised, Wolf.
Yeah, I don't think he's coming back to 8. This result was just too good to come back to 8. It makes sense unless the markets shit themselves. Maybe that's the only caveat that I can put in here, right? It will come back if the markets really decide to reverse course for one reason or another. But if the markets behave themselves over the next 6 months, I expect this might higher, especially the guidance they gave, Dave. I think that guidance is good enough for $10.
And how nice for us to have an actual interesting tech stock really on the market.
Well, hang on. Parcells is still going up. Thank you very much. We've got two good ones. We've got two good ones. It's still going up, Dave, at 27.30. Oh, you good thing.
Yeah, just have a look. And the other one's actually not looking too bad is old realestate.com still edging up, which is quite interesting.
So still plenty to go. We're still very early now. We've still got Altium to go with reporting. XRO is not going to report for some time, but there's some others in there I think we're going to have a look at that are going to be reporting. Just look at the list. We've got NXT will report. That will be interesting to see what they come up with. That chart is very, very good. I'm nervous as because we know what's going to happen, right? SDR will report as well. So yeah, it's not over yet, but it's good. Look, two light little trades. The SIG didn't work, but it's still okay. 10% down is not a disaster, but it's probably that trade is done and dusted. But definitely 360. If you're in this, you're holding. I don't think you could be selling this at all on this result. You'd be actually looking to buy more.
Wolf, ACFA announced yesterday. I'll just bring this across, and you can walk us through it. So EBITDA was up pretty strongly. EPS growth there. That's dividends. Lot to like about it.
Okay, let me just have a look at what it's actually trading on. I'm just looking at the calculator, so hang on a second. 11.7 EPS. So what's the price? 90.
But
what's the
price? Right now, let me give you 90 and a half.
Okay, 90 and a half
13.
divided by 0.117. Whoops, 0.117 equals 7.7 PE, Dave. 7.7 PE. That is cheap. That is cheap. Yeah, you'd be buying that, wouldn't you? And this is, Dave, I mean, this is unbelievable. If they can have another year like this, they could easily double from here. At 14 times, you think, is it expensive? No.
What's the outlook like as well? Did they give any? Yeah,
there you go. I think you had it just there. So the outlook was pretty decent. I don't think it was going to have the same growth of 70%, which they came out this time around, but it was okay. So maybe we'll drop it down to 12 times if you just leave it as it is right now. So it's still pretty cheap.
So the dividend is they've lifted their dividend considerably, right?
Yeah, they have. Yeah.
So I mean, that before it's hard to. It's obviously it's only a half yearly dividend, but it could be upwards to at least 5%, I think, for the year.
Go back up to the dividend side of things. Keep going up. I want to see the result.
Yeah.
What are we talking about it? Here we go. Keep going down slightly. There was a table on there. That's it. That's the table I want.
There you
the
go.
dividend CPS. This is for FY. So let me just work it out for you. Hang on a second. 0.044. I'll work this out. And you're saying 0.9005. Oops. Hang on. Yeah, 5% dividend yield. Not bad.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to think. That's a full year, right? Yeah. That's fair. It's not bad, is it?
Oh, it's pretty good.
So I mean, to buy a story with a 5% dividend with growth, with considerable growth.
Yeah, I think You can see there's a two reporting lines. You've got the underlying and the reported. So if you take the underlying numbers, it's trading on 7.7. I think if you take the reported, it's trading about 10 times. It's still cheap. So you could still see this upside if they keep going for another 6 to 12 months, right? You can see this getting over $1, maybe getting closer to $1.50 by 12 months time next August. If, of course, like I said, if the caveat is they keep going with the same similar type of pattern of updating well throughout the year. So it's still, if you're in this for a trade, there's no reason to sell on those results.
So, but I suppose the question is, it's a funny one. Fundamentally, would you buy it?
Fundamentally, it's looking cheap and so on. But again, would I love to buy it closer to the trend line? Of course I would. I don't care if I'm a trader or a investor. I'd like to buy it closer to the trend lines. So would I be chasing this? And maybe I just wait till the end of the week and see where it settles, and then maybe reassess whether I'd be prepared to buy it on these results. Because the tendency could be also, Dave, that you've had a bit of a run, the traders take some profits and he comes back to say 85 cents, 80 cents, and that's when you buy it.
Yeah, I mean, what I would say, and you're quite right, when you look at the stock and you look at how it moves, it doesn't tend to move. It's just a steady climber, isn't it? Right. So you got a feeling that, but I still think it's sort of thing that you say, right, I'd nibble away at this between 90 and 80.
Yeah, exactly. And
I think around here. Yeah. I think you nibble away at it, Wolfie. I think I'm just going to put that. I mean, you don't want to buy it now, but I mean, if you can average around that 0.85, I think you'd be doing well.
Yeah, I think so. I think that would be nice if you can average around 8.85. If they keep delivering some nice results, you'd be laughing. You'd be going, I think this is good.
And both really those 360s and they're both the same, aren't they? Just both nibble away.
Yep. Nibble away.
All right. Let's have a look at Cochlear.
Yep.
Because that price action's been very good. And you know what? I must say, all these stocks I've had recently on Einstein's, and Einstein's has picked them all absolutely beautifully, right? And picked that buy signal on Cochlear, and look at the buy signal there. And it takes 2 weeks, but bang, the people in the know were buying. There's no question about it. So
the question is what you do with Cochlear, right? Because it's an interesting story that was a market darling for a long time. Then it's gone into that sideways trading pattern for some time. It actually had a pretty good result with sales revenues up, what I'm just looking at the moment, about 19% to a record. Then if you look at the underlying profits, it was about a 10% rise, which is top of the end of the guidance they're talking about here. But the most important thing for me is, and I'm looking at FY24, right? And I'm going to myself, okay, is this story back to growth phase? Or is this just going to go sideways like a seek and, it's just there?
You know what, Wolf, you're taking profits on this. And if you look at it, that 250, it's been a lot of resistance. If you're in it, 247, if you did that trade, you take your profit. If it gets over 250 at the end of the week, you can have a look at it.
Okay. However, okay, I'm happy with that as a trader, but long term, right? Because I'm just thinking now, okay, let's give it 12 months because they've got this very interesting FY24 update. Net profit guidance of 355 to 375, which is a 16 to 23% increase. That's a 20% rise over FY23 if you take the midpoint, right?
Yeah.
So it's driven by a combination of revenue growth and improved net margin profit. That's excellent. I love to hear that, right? Do I want to buy this on those sort of numbers? And I'd say, yeah, I'd be back interested in a really good story.
You want to buy it at 64 times, or it's
I want to buy for the upside here. Look, the 64 times it's never bought of the stock before, right?
Well, it hasn't. It used to trade higher, but there's been a lot more competition coming into this story, hasn't there?
But it's still the top two in his field, right? There's not as if it can easily replicate this and all of a sudden dominate. So it's still got this premium attached to it. If that premium is whatever it might be, there's a premium attached to it, right? And if the market was prepared to still pay this and trade this around the 60 times mark without any growth versus 26% growth right now, is the market okay to take it from say $250 to $280, $300? Possibly. I mean, that's the incredible thing about these sort of things, where I think I'm just trying to make a case for a fundamental buy on the actual growth phase for the next year.
No, Wolf,
right?
I agree, but I think I would get it over 250 if you know what I mean.
Yeah, or wait till it comes back to $230,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Back on the 29. I agree.
You're in
not the right point to buy it, right?
Wolf, you're in no man's land here. That's the problem.
So with the charting, I agree with you, but fundamentally, I'm thinking I want this, but I probably want it back at 2030, or like you said, over 250.
All right, that's
Well, can
I ask you a question? Is that sort of the sort of stock that you'd look to, if you got it at the right price, or when you're happy with it, you'd add into the equity story fund?
Yeah, one, because it's a profitable company. It's been a market darling. It is top two globally for what it does, right? You want to get those companies that have got a really big, strong moat around them, but you also want a company that actually can show some growth. They finally showing that growth, right? So there's something there now that really sparks my interest on this. Actually, I'm interested. Can you just throw us on the monthly, please, for me, just to see where it's at in the cycle of it? Not bad at all.
It looks, in fact, your monthly is looking better than anything, but I think you see that 250 is a real bridge, Wolf.
Yeah, so if it gets over the 250, I think it'd be in like Flynn, wouldn't
you? Mate. In like Flynn. All right, next one, CGF.
It's pretty interesting. Okay, so CGF, yeah, again, it's one of those Seek type stuff where it looked good, and then they come up with that announcement. It is one day it's brilliant, the next day it's pretty bad. So, it's a hard one. I think pass. I think we said pass to this last reporting season. With that, it's just too difficult with this one. I just wanted to see where it's at the moment. Pass. We're not going to touch this.
NAB, not looking too bad, little NAB actually.
It isn't. Dave, the actual result wasn't too bad. Is it as good as CBA? No, it isn't. We talked about yesterday about quality over trying to chase the dividend. Be prepared to maybe chop the dividend off, but get some quality and growth. Is this going to deliver it to you? It's not going to deliver the growth, I don't think, but it's got a nice dividend, right? So you've got to weigh up for what you want out of a stock, whether you're just happy with just going sideways to down versus smaller dividend, but at least still inching up, right? And I think that CBA gives you that. NAB just gives you that dividend that's much stronger. So whatever you need, so to speak, you go for it. But it's a decent result. So I've got no issues with NAB.
All right. SIG, which is obviously trading absolutely beautifully for a while, Wolf. Holding above trend.
Yeah, look, I'm actually surprised it's not trading better, I have to say, because they've been coming up with upgrades. Small, yes, but upgrades is upgrades. So, maybe it's not a favorite of the traders or investors. Maybe it is flying under the radar slightly. But I'd be interested to see what they come up with for the full year result, because it could do an ACF or opposite to ACF. In other words, great result, and all of a sudden just jumps to 85 cents, right? Because it hasn't done much. All
right. CSL. Oh, not a bad recovery there. 346. It's finding a little bit. I mean, this is a sort of stock where you really want to have a look at the monthly, and yeah, it just needs to do a little bit more, doesn't it?
Yeah, look, after that big red candle, see that 3 weeks ago, right? That 53 months ago, that red candle where they've updated their market, and that was a technical downgrade, right? On forex movements, currency movements, and so on. When you think to yourself, it's got nothing to do with them. Leave them alone. But that's what it is. It's technically, yes, correct. Down she went. But the results actually today, I think, just puts that other spin on it, where you look at the business itself, and it's actually still doing okay, decently, and it's not as bad as that red candle suggests, Dave. So I think the market's probably oversold it in a way. And maybe it will get back to that $2.80 again, to 280 again.
Okay. I mean, Wolf, next
But
one.
I wouldn't be trading it at the moment. I'd just wait and see how it goes. But at least I don't think it's going to go down further. That's what I'm trying to say here. I think it's done. 260s is.
All right, Treasury Wine's still trading. It's still pretty limp, Wolf.
Yeah, it is, and I would touch it.
The one again that Einstein's has picked beautifully is God, right? Had that little breakout, just did enough for us. Hello, is that the easy money? And it proved to be. But again, you look at the announcement, and you're saying earlier it wasn't really one that you're that excited about, but the market obviously it was relieved with it more.
Yeah, well, because a lot of the retail stocks or stocks that rely on the sales like these guys do, were marked severely. Like they're going to come up with a pretty shit result, but they haven't. They've actually been okay. You look at the financials I'm looking at the moment. It obviously wasn't as bad as the market was expecting. So at the end of the day, it actually was pretty good when you look at it. Underlying and PATA, which is the net profit after tax adjusted, increased 32% or 33%. So it's much better than for what the market's probably expecting. That's why it's popped today, Dave. So the question is, what do you do with this? Do you buy this? Do you hold on? Do you like the business? I mean, that's probably some of the questions you'd be asking to yourself. So let's have a look at what they've actually trading on at the moment. So I'm just looking at the EPS. Hang on a second. What's the price at the moment? Can you give me that?
Yes, sure. 11.40.
Okay, 11.40 divided by 70 cents, I think, EPS. That puts it on 16 times. It's not bad. It's not cheap, but it's not expensive. So, you could make an argument that you could go push higher if they come up with a decent next 12 months.
Yeah, I think, the traders have already said 12. Yeah, it had a move today. I think if it edges up, if I was in this, I'd be looking to take profits, Wolf.
Yeah, I think maybe that's what it is. I think with a strong move on a company like this, maybe there's some resistance that maybe take a profit and revisit it again.
And you have to take that into account. You've got to look at the story of the stock and how it's moved, and yeah, it's I agree with you. You look, if it's a different story, like maybe a 360 that has these great runs, it's different. But this type of move, I think around now or a little bit higher, you take a profit.
Oh look, I'd take the 360 result over this any day.
Yeah, precisely. Wolf 3 PME. What a move. What
a result, really. I mean, very, very good. And look, you asked me about Cochlear 44 times. This is 120 times, 130 times or something. Ridiculous, right? So sometimes it's just the market is almost oblivious to valuations in a way. But let me have a look what it's trading on after this result, because it could significantly halve or something like that with his result, because it was a pretty strong one. So let me just have a quick look results here and see what the EPS was like, and we'll quickly work this out.
And look at it, since that buy signal was what was that 2 months ago, 2.5 months ago, it's been unbelievable.
I know, isn't it? I just find it funny how a good story goes actually much better, right? Much better. Good story follows through some of these buy signals, bullish signals, and so on, versus a dodge story.
Yeah, well, the more volume you've got, the more serious the story, then the more likely that the sort of the traders are going to be right. Absolutely.
So just let me have a look at what this is trading on. Just for your interest, my interest, and everyone else's interest out there. Just give me a sec. I'm just going through the numbers. Energy to do a frank dividend, current dividend. Why don't they have the EPS here? Which is strange. Hang on a sec. The other last. Let's go to the last one. I'm looking at that. Go to AZS, because this is an interesting one right at the end. I know lithium has been not been fantastic last few.
So under offer, or rumor that might be under offer.
Yeah, actually they were offered something. So there was a rumor. So they had to go in the trading hold and explain themselves. And there was an offer from SQM. I mean, that's one of the biggest lithium producers globally, Dave. at 231. Just shows, right, that SQM, Albemarle are just looking through globally and going, okay, is there a good discovery around here? If there is, we're going to try to take it out as quick as we can before they get too big and too expensive. And obviously, you know, we've had Liontown. Now you've got these guys. You know, I'm sure there was been ruler run over PMT as well in Canada. So they said no because obviously they've been hitting better and better results. But at the end of the day, you're still taking a risk, right? That you are going to be.
Well, they've been but Wolf, just be careful. These are non-binding, right? They're not. It hasn't been it's not. That's why I'm saying it's not an offer as such. It's a non-binding. So it's you know, people got to be careful about that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's obviously nothing's written, but they've been approached about, you know, change of control. When you get into this discussions, you know, the other company has to have access to your books. They need to have all this sort of stuff. So the preliminary discussions were, okay, we'll give you 231 if you can demonstrate that you're worth 231, right? And of course, it's not binding, so it might not, nothing could have eventuated, but at least there is interest from another big company out there. So I certainly, if I'm a trader, I'd be going, well, okay, maybe there's a profit there to be taken at the end of the day, somewhere along the line.
Okay, so it's interesting. You've got obviously Liontown having a move, yeah. Wolf, what other smaller ones would you then be looking at that which you think have got a good resource that haven't had an offer yet? You see,
GMTs of the world probably should have something, right? The Triple L in Leo, which is in Africa, right? That probably should be looked at by someone. So I'm just looking at the big 100 million ton plus type of discoveries that we've seen over the last 6 to 12 months. So that's the two. Maybe that one in Brazil, LRS, which is again probably building towards 100 million as well, right? That's the only three thing I can think of at the moment. I know WR1 is a bit behind PMT, but you know, they might get to 100 million tons. I don't know yet, but you know, they are sort of heading out in that direction as well. So I think the top two we just spoke about, I think those probably are in the crosshairs of someone.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. The last time we had an offer on Liontown, all those small lithium plays jumped 6, 7, 8%. Today that hasn't happened.
No,
which is quite interesting, I suppose. The market's obviously maybe feeling not as bullish as it was before. I don't know.
All right, now let me just finish off this PME because I've finally got that numbers while you're doing that, right? So you know what it is trading on? Let me just tell you what it's trading on. Still ridiculous numbers. So the EPS was, I'm just looking at it now. The EPS, I found it in its full year results is 58 cents. It's trading on $74 divided by 58 cents. Does the market care it's trading on 127 times, Dave?
Well, I'm glad you said that because actually I was looking at market index. It was saying 151. So it's better than what it was, Wolf. It's better than what it was.
Well, you know, buy 127 times. Oh, you're. I mean, this is the problem. You're buying already probably next 3 or 4 years of growth at these prices, and that's why it's always been a very hard sell for me. Fundamentally, when you're trained, your brain is trained to buy something reasonably priced, right? And when I say reasonably priced, it's something that we've been taught to lose P's ratios and other things, right? To look at this story. So very difficult to buy this at these prices. Trading is the only way I can get my head around it.
Yeah, it's a funny old world, Wolf, isn't it?
Yeah,
right.
It is. So when you tell me that, you know, your Cochleos at 4, cheap.
Yeah, no, funny enough, but you've always said the same with this story, you know, Wolf. You've always said the same that it's.
I know, but that's I don't think I'll ever change my view that it's just too expensive. But like I said, I don't think it's changed my mind.
I remember you saying exactly the same thing when this was 10.57.
Thanks a lot, Dave. Thanks.
Well, sorry, no, but I mean, it's like you said.
It's true. I'm probably going to stick to the guns that I'm always going to call this expensive, but I'm never going to say do not trade this. This is a quality story, so you can always trade this, and probably going to make money on trading much more than probably holding.
Yeah, it's just hard to buy things at these
I
values, isn't
know,
it?
I
So
know, I know.
it's like paying 3 or 4 times more than the house.
Maybe whenever we talk about this stock, do not ask me about anything about this. Just trade it.
Well, we try and do that, don't we, for every stock? Wolf, I think we're going to put ACF on, right, as a nibble away, right? So I'm going to say sort of try and buy it at under 90, yeah. We're going to call it I think a dividend with growth, like 1 year, if you don't mind. We'll still call it maybe it's a sort of a trade. I think you'd have a stop loss, which maybe 0.72, because I'll tell you why, it gives a really good dividend. So I'm happy to give it a little bit of leeway, right? And I think you just take a year target price of this Wolf and try and see if it hit to that sort of 140, which would be, if it did that, it's over 40% return, yeah?
I think you're being greedy. Let's do a 6 month. Let's take it to the next reporting season, which is in February.
Stop loss. Stop being so 140.
Yeah, you're almost jumping one step ahead.
All right.
There's another big step, which is the February step.
You could tell who the trader is here and who's the fundamental analyst, can't you? All right, Wolf, we're going to do 6 months. We're going to do 6 months. We're going to have a target at 120, right? That's still.
Thank you. I think it's just let's not expectations. Remember, Dave. I want to just lower the expectation for people. Just do a step by step. If it's good in February at 120, great. We will revise it to 140 for the next 6 months.
I think that that's
sensible Wolfie versus gung ho bloody Hound.
All right, let's have a look at that. Sensible Wolfie. Right. So I think that looks good. So it's a buy. We've got that. I've got a leeway. I've given that stop loss a lot of leeway. People are welcome to have that stop loss tied if they want. They could go under 78 if they wanted, maybe 77. But for me, I think at the end of the day, I'm playing what the market looks at, not what. And I think the other one is at 360 Wolf. I still think we'll go for it. I think we'll nibble away. Now I'm gonna sort of buy under 9, right? I mean, we might not get it, but I think we just don't want people to overpay for it. We'll put it as trending, a trade. Both these are large caps, so they're both over 2. I think it's a medium cap, isn't it? What's
what do you mean both are large caps? I don't think ACF is a large cap.
Let's have a look. No, it's not actually. It's actually
micro cap.
It's actually no, it's a little bit more than it's actually a small cap. It's just over 250 Wolf, so it's a nice small cap. Right. And 360, surely it's a large cap. It's over 2 billion. Must be.
Let me have a look for you. I don't know what is it. What even makes a small cap or large cap? Well, how many is it? 2 billion cut off or 3 billion cut off?
2 billion are fairly different. It's actually quite different for an American market than ours. But 2 billion is a large cap. A micro cap is
1.6. 1.6 billion. So it's a small cap still.
You know what? When you say 1.6 billion for the possibility of the company,
exactly. I'm thinking just get in. Because you can see it that sort of moving up the 2 billion, 3 billion, and make it going from small cap to medium cap, right?
It's amazing.
I think we also have to remember it's still high risk because this is app-based companies can be a flavor of a period, and then maybe struggle at a period. So let's not forget about that. Also, I love it right now. I think it's going very, very well. It's got upside for sure. But let's not fall in love with it. I think maybe I just want to stress that.
Well, if we don't fall in love with it.
Small cap now looking good.
I think we'll do 760 stop loss and well, if we're not going for the $10, we're going for a little bit more, are we? We'll go for 11.
All right. But there's a big resistance at 10, wouldn't it? So maybe the $10 at 10% upside especially after 15% rise today. Maybe it's not bad for a quick trade.
Yeah, but it didn't. That $10 wasn't resistance before, right?
Okay, well, I'll leave it technical because, you know, you think you're a genius. So let me let you think that.
Well, when you look at you've done the course, but when you look at the chart, you look at where's acted as resistance before, right? And that $10 wasn't. So
fair enough. Well, at the end of the day, I think that result's strong enough to probably push through that $10 anyway.
Okay, that changed your mind quickly.
No, I mean, I'm just looking at fundamentals. So really, when I look at fundamentals, I don't worry about $10, $11, $9. Looking at what's the value could it be in, say, 12 months time.
All right. We'll stop talking about. Then we'll stop talking about the charts then. Right. So
if you stop talking about fundamentals, I will.
So if we get over 250 by the end of the week, we can look at putting call clear. Okay. Guard up, we think is a take profits. Yep. Pragmaticus, listen, guys, if you want to have a look at it, your stop loss is just under 70, right? I think we're okay. Better question for you: if you're in AZS,
well, you're like cool. It just keeps going and going and going. What else? What else you need to say?
I just want to know if you're in AZS, are you taking a profit on it?
Yeah, I think so. Look, it's a tough one. I apologize to Claude. Claude's great. I love it because he talks fundamentals all the time. But you can just keep going with technicals. Saying that, where do I go with AZS? AZS, what do I do? It's a high risk based on results so far. You'd probably want to keep trading it, but you know, with this, what we know now with this takeover at 231. Does it draw a line and say 231 is good? I don't know. I mean, I think, look, I'll leave it to you. I'm just going to give the fundamental tick of approval for the results so far for AZS, and I'm just going to leave it entirely up to you what you think with it, technically wise.
Well, I think I think you just put your if you're still in it, to say stop loss around 240. Well, yeah. It's like you said, you don't want to be too greedy with these things, do you?
No, you don't. You don't. It's because they, you know, it could easily backfire on you. Imagine the next result is pretty poor. I mean, that could really easily crash back, right?
Yeah. On that note, Wolfie, thank you so much, mate, and thank you so much for reading for all these reports. Absolutely brilliant. And
don't forget, we got to have a nice session because we've got lots of stocks now to talk through with some of these results. And some of the results are not yet released. So we're going to probably discuss a lot of stocks tonight.
All right, tonight at 7 o'clock. All right, thanks, Wolfie. See you, mate. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.